In a world where everyone is eager to speak, those who take the time to truly listen stand out. It may sound simple, but the habit of excessive talking can quietly chip away at the respect others have for you. People naturally gravitate toward individuals who make them feel heard, understood, and valued. When someone is constantly talking, always trying to dominate a conversation or insert their opinions, they often come off as self absorbed, even if that's not their intention. Talking too much often stems from the desire to prove something: intelligence, experience, relevance, or even likability. But ironically, the more someone tries to prove their worth through words, the less impact those words tend to have. Conversations become one sided and people begin to feel dismissed or overshadowed. Respect grows not from how much you say, but from how you make others feel in your presence. When you listen more than you speak, you're telling others your voice matters. Your opinion is valuable, that's powerful. Another reason why listening earns respect is because it shows emotional maturity. Not every situation needs your opinion. Sometimes people just need someone who can sit with them, absorb what they're saying, and respond with thoughtfulness rather than interruption. When you take the time to genuinely understand someone else's perspective, even if you don't agree, it demonstrates humility. And humility is deeply respected. It shows that you're not ruled by ego and that you can step outside of yourself to engage with others meaningfully. Good listening also sharpens your awareness. When you're constantly speaking, you're not learning anything new. You already know what you know. But when you listen, you expose yourself to fresh ideas, different experiences, and knowledge you didn't have before. You grow, and people respect those who are always growing, those who are curious instead of arrogant. Listening is a skill that builds wisdom, and wisdom is something people look up to. There's also a strategic advantage to being a good listener. In both personal and professional settings, people often reveal far more than they realize. If you're paying attention, you pick up on emotions, motives, and opportunities that others miss. You gain insight into who they really are, how they think, and what matters to them. This awareness allows you to respond in ways that are more impactful, whether you're negotiating, giving advice, or just being a supportive friend. Let's not forget, talking less doesn't mean being silent or never expressing yourself. It means being intentional with your words, say what needs to be said, and make sure it adds value to the moment. When you speak less, your words tend to carry more weight. People lean in when you talk because they know you're not just speaking to fill the silence, you're speaking because you have something meaningful to contribute. Building the habit of listening takes self-awareness. You have to be willing to check yourself in real time. Are you cutting people off? Are you waiting to speak instead of actively listening? Are you making everything about you, even unintentionally? Start being present. Nod, ask follow-up questions, and reflect on what you're hearing. These small behaviors send a loud message: I respect you. And in return, people begin to respect you more. At the end of the day, respect is not just earned through accomplishments or how loudly you can speak in a room. It's earned through your character. The ability to listen, to truly listen, is one of the most underrated ways to build that character. So if you want to elevate how people see you, talk less, listen more, and let your presence speak louder than your voice ever could. One of the quickest ways to lose the respect of others is to engage in gossip or speak negatively about someone who isn't present. While it might feel harmless in the moment, just sharing a story, venting frustrations, or making small talk, it sends a message about your character that people don't forget. When you talk about others behind their backs, it tells those around you that you might do the same to them. It creates an atmosphere of distrust, and trust is the foundation of respect. It's easy to get caught up in gossip, especially in environments where it's normalized. Workplaces, friend groups, and even families sometimes bond over discussing someone else's mistakes or flaws. It can feel like a way to connect, to feel included, or to assert some kind of social power. But that kind of connection is shallow and temporary. The moment you walk away, the people you were gossiping with may begin to wonder what you say about them when they're not around. You become someone who doesn't seem safe, someone whose loyalty is questionable. Speaking ill of others behind their backs often comes from insecurity or frustration. Maybe someone annoyed you, disrespected you, or made a mistake that affected you. Those feelings are valid, but how you choose to express them makes all the difference. There's a big difference between venting with the intent to solve a problem and tearing someone down to feel better. If you need to talk about an issue with someone, talk to the person directly or speak to someone you trust who will help you find a constructive way forward, not someone who will fuel your anger or encourage the drama. When you avoid gossip, you position yourself as someone with integrity. People notice when you choose not to engage in negative talk, even when you have the opportunity to do so. They see that you have boundaries, that you value fairness, and that you don't need to diminish others to elevate yourself. That kind of restraint and maturity earns deep respect. It shows that you can be trusted with sensitive information, that you're capable of empathy, and that you understand the power of words. Not participating in gossip doesn't mean you have to be silent or passive when something wrong is happening. If someone is doing harm, there are appropriate ways to address it through honest conversation, proper channels, or professional support. But spreading negativity without the intent to resolve anything only adds to the problem. It keeps the cycle of judgment, bitterness, and disconnection going. And over time, it makes you look smaller, not stronger. Another benefit of avoiding gossip is that it frees up your energy. When you stop focusing on what everyone else is doing wrong, you create space to focus on your own growth. You become more centered, more self-aware, and more at peace. You also start attracting the kind of people who value authenticity and kindness, people who lift each other up instead of tearing each other down. People remember how you made them feel. If you make others feel safe, seen, and supported even when they're not in the room, you'll be respected. That kind of reputation is far more powerful than any short-term attention gossip might get you. Words are powerful tools, and when you use them with purpose and care, people take notice. In the end, the way you talk about others says more about you than it does about them. Choose your words wisely, speak with integrity, and remember, the respect you earn in silence, when no one's watching, is the kind that truly lasts. There's something deeply human about wanting to be right. It feels good to win an argument, prove a point, or come out on top in a disagreement. But when the need to always be right takes over, it can quietly sabotage relationships and chip away at the respect others have for you. People don't respect those who always have to win. They respect those who can admit when they're wrong, who are open to learning, and who value truth over ego. The constant need to be right usually stems from insecurity. When someone feels unsure about themselves, they cling to being right as a form of validation. It becomes a shield, a way to feel important or superior, but the more someone fights to defend their opinions at all costs, the more closed off they become. Conversations stop being about connection and start becoming competitions. And most people don't enjoy being around someone who constantly corrects, debates, or refuses to consider another perspective. Letting go of the need to always be right doesn't mean you stop standing up for your beliefs. It means you become aware of when your ego is leading the conversation. It means asking yourself, is being right more important than being kind? Is this really about the issue, or is it about me needing to win? That kind of self-awareness is rare and incredibly powerful. It shows humility, emotional intelligence, and strength. And those are qualities people truly admire. One of the most liberating things you can do is say, I was wrong. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. Admitting a mistake or changing your stance based on new information shows that you value growth over pride. It shows that you're more committed to understanding than to being seen as perfect. People respect that kind of honesty because it's so uncommon. Most are too caught up in proving themselves to ever acknowledge their own blind spots. When you let go of needing to be right, you also become a better listener. You stop waiting for your turn to talk and start actually hearing what others are saying. That deepens conversations and builds stronger relationships. It also makes people more open to hearing your perspective because they know you're not just trying to win, you're trying to connect. The truth is, no one knows everything. We all have moments when we misjudge, misunderstand, or make assumptions. What separates respected individuals from the rest is how they handle those moments. Do they double down and deflect blame, or do they own it, learn from it, and move forward with grace? The latter always earns more trust. Letting go of the need to always be right also brings peace. Constantly defending your position is exhausting. It creates tension in conversations and distance in relationships. But when you release that pressure, you create space for curiosity, growth, and deeper understanding. You don't need to have all the answers, you just need to be open. And finally, people respect those who make others feel seen and heard. When you stop trying to dominate conversations with your correctness, you allow others to share their truths. You create a space where different perspectives can coexist, where dialogue replaces debate, and where mutual respect can actually grow. So the next time you find yourself in a disagreement, pause. Ask yourself, am I trying to connect or just trying to be right? That one question can shift your mindset completely. Letting go of the need to always be right doesn't mean you lose, it means you rise above. It means you're confident enough to not let your ego drive every interaction. And that kind of quiet strength, that's what earns lasting respect. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be appreciated or recognized. It's a natural human desire to feel seen, valued, and acknowledged. But when your sense of worth becomes dependent on the opinions of others, when you constantly need validation to feel good about yourself, it starts to erode both your confidence and the respect people have for you. Constantly seeking validation sends the message that you don't truly believe in yourself, and people are less likely to respect someone who always looks outward for approval instead of inward for strength. When you rely on external validation, your self-esteem becomes unstable. One compliment can lift you and one criticism can crush you. You become reactive, always adjusting your behavior, appearance, or opinions to please others or fit in. Over time, this people-pleasing mindset wears you down. It leaves you feeling disconnected from your own identity and constantly chasing approval that never really lasts. People respect those who are sure of themselves, not arrogant, but grounded. Those who know who they are and don't need a round of applause to stay confident. When you carry yourself with quiet confidence, others are naturally drawn to you. They can sense that your validation comes from within, not from desperate attempts to be liked. That kind of self-assuredness is magnetic because it's rare. Seeking constant validation also puts pressure on your relationships. Friends, partners, co-workers, no one wants to feel like they have to constantly reassure or praise someone just to keep them from falling apart. It becomes exhausting. And ironically, the more you seek validation, the less sincere it starts to feel when you receive it. You begin to question whether people really mean what they say or if they're just saying it to keep the peace. That kind of doubt creates distance. Instead of chasing validation, focus on building self-trust. This means keeping your promises to yourself, honoring your values, and doing the right thing even when no one is watching. When you know you're acting with integrity, you don't need anyone else to approve of you. You already know your worth. That internal sense of validation is far more durable and fulfilling than anything external. It's also important to remember that not everyone will like you, agree with you, or understand you, and that's okay. Trying to get everyone's approval is a losing game. The more you try to be everything to everyone, the less you become yourself. And people can sense when you're being inauthentic. True respect comes from being real, even if it means not everyone will applaud you for it. Another side effect of constantly seeking validation is that it can make you hesitant to take risks. You become afraid of failure because it might bring judgment or disapproval. But the most respected people in any field, whether it's business, art, leadership, or personal growth, are those who took bold steps without waiting for permission. They trusted their instincts, even when others doubted them. That kind of boldness doesn't come from needing validation. It comes from self-belief. The truth is, you don't need likes, praise, or constant reassurance to be enough. You already are. And the moment you stop chasing validation and start owning your space, people will notice. They'll respect your confidence, your calm, and your authenticity. Because in a world full of people trying to prove themselves, the one who knows their worth in silence stands the tallest. So stop waiting for others to tell you you're doing okay. Stop looking around for signs that you matter. You do. And once you realize that, you stop needing to be seen, and that's exactly when people start to truly see you. Excuses are easy. They give us a way out, a reason to avoid discomfort, and a shield from taking responsibility. But while they may protect your ego in the short term, they chip away at your credibility in the long run. People don't respect excuses, they respect accountability. When you constantly make excuses, what you're really saying is, I'm not in control of my actions, or it's not my fault. And when others hear that, whether you realize it or not, they start to lose confidence in your word, your work, and even your character. Everyone makes mistakes, everyone faces setbacks, but how you respond to them is what defines you. Do you own up to them, learn from them, and move forward? Or do you find someone or something to blame? Respect is earned through responsibility. When people see that you can acknowledge your missteps without deflecting, they begin to trust you more, not less. That trust turns into admiration over time because accountability is a sign of true maturity. Excuses can show up in small, subtle ways: being late and blaming traffic, missing a deadline and blaming distractions, not following through on a goal and blaming lack of support. These may feel harmless, but when repeated often, they create a pattern. And patterns speak louder than intentions. Over time, people notice when you always have a reason things didn't happen. And instead of seeing someone reliable, they see someone who avoids ownership. There's a difference between giving a reason and giving an excuse. Life does happen, unexpected things can throw off even the best plans. But what matters is how you communicate and respond. Are you honest and proactive? Do you find solutions instead of staying stuck in the problem? Or do you repeatedly use circumstances as a way to justify not showing up fully? One earns understanding, the other earns frustration. Letting go of excuses requires humility. It means admitting when you fall short, and that's not always comfortable. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. When you stop making excuses, you start holding yourself to a higher standard. You begin to demand more from yourself, and that internal shift reflects outward. People around you will feel it. They'll see the change not just in your words, but in your actions. The truth is, people admire those who take responsibility even when it's hard. Leaders, mentors, and role models are often the ones who say, that was on me, or I should have handled that better. They don't hide behind blame or circumstances. They face the consequences head on and use failure as fuel to improve. That kind of mindset inspires others to do the same. And when you lead by example, even in small ways, you gain influence that no excuse could ever provide. Making excuses also keeps you stuck. It creates a mindset where you believe you can't change your situation unless everything around you changes first. But that's a trap. The moment you realize that you're responsible for your life, your actions, your choices, your direction, is the moment you take your power back. And power paired with accountability, that's the kind of combination that commands deep respect. So instead of saying, I didn't have time, say, I didn't prioritize it. Instead of, I couldn't do it because of them, say, I didn't handle it the way I should have. These shifts might feel tough at first, but they create strength. They create resilience. And most importantly, they build a reputation of reliability. People may not always say it out loud, but they notice the difference between someone who owns their life and someone who hides from it. Stop making excuses not just for others, but for yourself. That's when real progress begins. And that's when respect follows naturally. Comparison is one of the most silent yet powerful ways people rob themselves of joy, peace, and self respect. In a world where everyone is constantly showcasing the highlight reel on social media, work, and social circles, it's tempting to measure your life against someone else's. But when you compare yourself to others, you shift your focus from what you have to what you lack. And the more you focus on what you lack, the more you start to feel like you're not enough. That kind of mindset eats away at your confidence and makes it hard for others to truly respect you because it shows you're not fully at peace with yourself. The truth is, everyone is on a different path, different timing, different struggles, different starting points. No two journeys are the same, and trying to compare yours to someone else's is like comparing a sunrise to a star. It makes no sense. One person's success doesn't diminish your own potential. Just because someone is ahead of you in one area doesn't mean you're behind. They might be winning in one chapter of their life while you're still writing your own. Respect grows when you stay focused on your own growth instead of trying to match someone else's pace. Constant comparison creates insecurity, and insecurity often shows up as jealousy, bitterness, or resentment. These emotions push people away. They make it hard to celebrate others and even harder to celebrate yourself. People can feel when you're not comfortable in your own skin, when you're trying to prove something instead of just being who you are. And it's hard to respect someone who's always trying to be someone else. Authenticity is what draws people in. When you own your story, flaws and all, that's when people start to really admire you. Comparing yourself to others also creates a false narrative. You see someone's success, but you don't see the sacrifices they made to get there. You see their confidence, but you don't see the years of doubt they had to fight through. Everyone has a behind-the-scenes story, but comparison blinds you to that. It makes you feel like you're falling short, when in reality you might just be in a different season. That kind of thinking leads to unnecessary pressure, and pressure leads to burnout, not progress. One of the most powerful things you can do to earn respect is to stay in your lane and walk your path with pride. Focus on your goals, your growth, and your definition of success. Measure your progress by how far you've come, not by how far someone else has gone. When people see that you're committed to being the best version of yourself, not a copy of someone else, they begin to respect your drive, your discipline, and your confidence. Quitting comparison also makes you a better supporter of others. You're not threatened by someone else's success, you're inspired by it. You can genuinely clap for others without feeling like it takes anything away from you. That kind of supportiveness is rare, and people respect those who can lift others while still rising themselves. At the end of the day, the only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday. That's the only comparison that actually leads to growth. When you shift your focus inward, you take control of your own narrative. You build confidence from within, and you develop a deeper sense of purpose that no outside achievement can give you. People respect those who know who they are and walk with confidence in their own shoes. So stop looking sideways. Look ahead. Your journey is yours for a reason, and the moment you embrace it fully is the moment others begin to truly respect it too.